Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1. A hard-fought, horrible victory in the end there. Casemiro red card, changing the game for Manchester United, but we managed to hold on for a win. I'm joined by Ryan Hopper, up the RH indeed. How are you feeling after that?
You know what, mate? It's job done. Job done for me, and it shows how far we've come and the way we managed my game. Like I said on the watch along, I'm really happy with that. You know, it was a bit of a daft red card and stuff like that. But listen, we've seen the game out. We've come a long way. And at times in that game, I'm sure we'll discuss now, like, I thought we played some fantastic football, 1 and 2 touch football, but we dealt with the cards that we was dealt with, you know, towards the end, and job done, 3 points. Yeah,
massive, wasn't it? And just, especially we saw in the game the early kick-off, Arsenal losing to Everton. You're not necessarily looking at winning the league, obviously, this season, but you want the teams above you to drop points. Who doesn't? And then you see that and you think, okay, this is a big chance today. It felt as though, we'll come back to the goals, but just the way the game felt, we get to 2-0 up, and it felt like we've won this now. Comfortable, we're cruising. That second goal was a thing of beauty, which we'll talk more about in a minute, but let's just get straight into it. Is Jeffrey Schlupp, isn't it? Pushes Anthony off the pitch, but basically he's having a bit of an argument with their fullback or their player, and then Schlupp comes in, pushes him, and it's obviously the steep hill at Old Trafford off the side of the pitch. Anthony gets pushed down there, and from there, basically, everyone's kicking off. Casemiro, weirdly, sort of off to the side of the main group. The main fight has got you know, Fred and Rashford and Anthony and the main guys in there, and then off the side, there's just this little small fight breaking out where Casemiro's got Will Hughes by the throat with 2 hands, like Homer Simpson grabbing Bart after he's missed his homework. Like, it was the most blatant red card I think I've ever seen that wasn't like a punch. What do you think was going through Casemiro's head there to just absolutely wring Will Hughes' neck? Yeah,
like if you just go back to the first bit where Slups obviously put Anthony off the pitch there. Initially, I thought he's going to go over and lift him up and say, you know, sorry, bud, like, you know, let's crack on. But he must have been giving him a little bit of jip or whatever and small talk or getting him going. And then Casemiro's the one who had enlightened everything by going over and must have seen it and pushed, you know, Slupp. And then it all just erupted. Like you said, Fred was involved, Rashford was. But yeah, it was just like a UFC or a WWE chokehold on. And it's funny thing, Will Hughes must have realised it was him and didn't even attempt to try and get out of it.
No. Well, it's interesting. So we've got people in the comments, a lot of people saying that it wasn't a red card and that I don't know if it's an angle we haven't seen or higher quality than what we saw, but that he's got his hand on his shoulder and on the side of his thing, and he's grabbing his shirt, not his neck. But I mean,
the way it looked to us, I'm not going to listen.
Hands.
I love him and I'll always try and back him and that, but it was in front of our eyes there. He had 2 hands gripping him around the neck. Like
it looked like it,
Will Hughes were going purple.
To be fair, it's one of them that maybe if we see another angle or a better quality or whatever, you might be able to say, oh yeah, he was grabbing his shirt and his shoulder, not his. But you can see how the ref has thought 100%. That was that. Even if nothing else, you can understand why it was a given.
100%. And he's gone over, and the VAR, he had the review. He's gone over, and as soon as he goes over, it's like with a penalty. You know what's happening, it's daft. The funny thing is with it, he walks over, he goes to the back pocket, and Casemiro just points to himself and goes, "What, me?" Like he's done nothing. It's like, but listen, job done. The lads, fantastic to see the game out and great game management. And no, it's a 3 points and we move on, don't we?
Arthur Wagner says Casemiro did not squeeze. Like that's like some sort of if the glove fits you must have quit type. If he didn't squeeze, red card's not a breeze. Like some sort of catchy thing to get him out of his red card. Well, regardless of whether he squeezed or he grabbed the shirt or the neck or whatever, he was given a red card. He will now be having presumably a minimum of 3 match ban. Hopefully it is only 3, because if it is, he'll be back for the League Cup final. Let's go back before that then. The first goal Man United scored, the penalty that Bruno scored. What just comfortable, wasn't it, at that point? You felt as though United were going to win the game easily.
5 minutes in, I thought we started really bright, and again, the intensity levels and the way they wanted to press, and it was really causing problems. I know it was only 5 minutes gone, but you could see the intent and the way the United wanted to play. And again, Rashford went down the left-hand side, put a ball in with his left peg, and Will Hughes his arms in a unnatural position, eye up in the air. It's touched his arm. They went to VAR. And cool as you like, Bruno with a hop and a little reverse 1-0. And again, United looked great, but again they had a passage where the 5, 10, 15 minutes where Palace were coming to the game and like, oh, we don't like this. And you know, along with yourself and Nathan on the watch along, was identifying that left hand side.
Yep.
You know, Wan-Bissaka was having his hands full because he was quite bright, you know, on that left hand side, and yeah, it wasn't all plain sailing.
No, it was a tough game, and the second goal, which we were watching it, and United had a lot of the ball high up the pitch. I was struggling to do anything with it. All of a sudden, I think it went to Martinez and then back to Varane and then back to Martinez, and then we went out to the right side, and I think there was a throw in even, but we just dropped off. It was like we saw, actually, they've got a good shape. We're struggling to sort of play it to side and unlock anything here. Let's drop back and draw them off us. And then it was a lovely 1-2s round the corners, up to their half. Garnacho coming across, winning the ball back, playing it back to Luke Shaw, side foot in, and Rashford with another side foot into the back of the net. It was just a brilliant goal that, to me, showed maybe the best goal this season, that showed me as a fan, Manchester United have options now. We know we have ways to create chances. Because in the past, under Van Gaal and at times under Solskjaer as well, when teams sat back, we just went, great, they're sitting back, let's push as high as we possibly can and stay as high as we can. And then you go, why is there no space? Why can't we do anything? Because there's no space. We drew them off us. Clearly a planned thing, wasn't it, to me anyway? Allowed the bigger gaps to develop. Then you play it into your direct players like Garnacho, and the space was there for Rashford in the end. I thought that was a brilliant goal.
No, it was. It was great patient playing, like you said, just recycling the play. And they wasn't taking too many touches. Everything was done off 1 and 2 touch, you know, popping round corners. And like you said, it went out to the right-hand side. Nice little play. But nothing was forced. Nothing was... Everything was in control. And even though they was doing it 1 and 2 touch, they had pictures in the mind before they was doing it. Honestly, it was free flowing. It was brilliant. And even what I liked about it on the watch along again, there was a moment where I thought Garnacho was going to shoot, but great decision making for him to then go out wide to Shaw, and I just thought everything about the goal was fantastic, and it was free flowing. It was great. It was a fantastic team goal. Yeah,
it was. We've got a few super chats, then I want to get on to, and we need to talk about Lisandro Martinez in a minute, because I just thought he was absolutely phenomenal today. But Fergal McClements says, I know it puts us under pressure, but I love that everyone could get involved in that row that Casemiro got sent off. We didn't have it last year. We have fight now. I like a bit of that.
Togetherness.
It's a shame 100%. That regardless of whether he squeezed, Casemiro did not squeeze, or whether he just had his hands on his collar, he gave the referee a decision to make. If you raise your 100%. Hands to an opponent's face, head, neck, you've always got a chance of getting sent off. But I completely agree with that. There's times last season when people were getting in scraps and they're by themselves. And you've got like the opposition surrounding them.
The best teams, like you said, are together. No matter what, good, bad, ugly, positive, or whatever, they're there together. And I think it's a fantastic point, that the viewers made, because Fergal's made, because at the end of the day, they're together. The lads are together, and again, the manager deserves a lot of credit for that. They're all together, whether it's bad they're getting beat at Brentford and going on a run together, or whether it's in the game moments. So everyone's to get a real togetherness. So I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Kyle Chester's ref really didn't want to give a pen. Shocking how many clear pens they don't want to give us. Maybe Ten Hag should have a whinge like Klopp. I'm glad he doesn't whinge, actually, and we'll get to Klopp as well before we're finished. We've got Martinez and Klopp. What a great two things to talk about. Brilliant. How good Martinez is and how shit Liverpool are. Jerome Green says, Schlupp pushing Anthony into the board. Ayew slapping Fred, but Casemiro gets the red card for trying to calm Hughes down. It's shameful inconsistency. Martinez then, first of all, I thought today he was absolutely phenomenal. There were in everything. There was times where he's having one-on-ones. There was a point in the first half where Wan-Bissaka blasted the ball at his stomach area, which is the hardest, for me anyway, the hardest part of the body to sort of, do you go with the knee, do you go down to the chest? Just controls it brilliantly back to the goalkeeper. And then at the end of the game as well, we just saw block after block, tackle after tackle, and the energy and the excitement that he brings the crowd, that he brings the rest of his teammates. He was absolutely amazing today, wasn't he?
Honestly, he's a breath of fresh air, and you can see why he's a fan favourite. And some players, in the time can be fan favourites by being a bit inconsistent, or can be turn it on when they want. But this guy's a real deal. Every time he walks onto the pitch with a United shirt, you can see his passion. Mm-hmm. You can see his positional sense is absolutely fantastic, and he can assess danger. And it's not no coincidence he's there when the balls are coming in, and it's no coincidence that he's there and he's making blocks and he's making tackles. But even on the ball, like you pointed out there, when the balls are being fizzed into him, and he's nice and calm, he's composed, and like you said, his decision making is so good. He's getting to things so quick and then slamming the brakes on. He's not going to ground. It just everything. His defensive brain and the IQ and everything. Honestly, he's a breath of fresh air, and you can see why he's so highly thought of.
Yes, we've got over 4,000 people watching now. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Hit the like button. Manchester United winning 2-1, of course. I just want to give you some stats on Martinez. The most clearances of anyone, by 2 clear of the next highest. The most defensive aerial duels won. The most blocks for Manchester United as well, and the second most passes and the second most attacking aerial duels won. He's just everywhere. Just as everything. And for a player like that, who you look at those first few stats, blocks, balls won back, aerial duels won, you'd assume he's some big sort of meaty lad who can't do anything with the ball. And then he's put in 61 passes completed out of 66 attempts, the second most of anyone on the pitch. I'm amazed at how good he is. And a player that, at his best, seemed like a player that could probably overcome the height, because that's a bit of a sort of misnomer, isn't it? But he's coming from the Eredivisie. How will he translate? How will his qualities? He's been phenomenal, arguably the best centre back in the league this season, and it's just amazing at how well he's adapted. I think might as well mention Liverpool, haven't we?
Yes,
if we can we've got the league table up. That'd be great if we could get that. You see there, Arsenal at the top was a bit of a surprise. City second, that makes a bit of sense. Yeah. United in third, that's nice. And then surely Liverpool must be. Oh, that's Newcastle. Well, they got to be fifth then. Oh, it's surely they're not 8, no 10th. Wow. How are they 10th?
Wow.
We've got 12 points more than Liverpool. 13 more than Liverpool.
Wow.
What is going on? Got battered again today by Wolves.
What is going on?
Talk to me. What's happening?
We was talking about it in our watch. I don't know what's going on there. It's like, is it an aging squad? Is it the manager? Is he not getting the best out of the players? I just don't know what it is. We talked about Mane going and Van Dijk not being what he was. I just don't know. I just don't know what it is with him. They're just not ticking whatsoever. Listen, as United fans, we're over the moon. But if you're Liverpool fans, wow, you're thinking we've had times bad as United fans, but I don't think it's ever been as bad in terms of league positionings and stuff like that.
More than halfway through the season to be in 10th. I mean, if United have been worse, it's never been much worse. It's never been that.
I don't think it has been worse.
And they've still got the manager that's there, like other than Shankly. Right up there. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like they've got the Moyes in and then they've got Mourinho and Van Gaal. They're not transitioning. No. This is the guy, and they're 10th.
We were saying, when does it become a point? And I'm not saying that he will go or he should go or whatever, but when does it come a point where he must be thinking a bit of personal pride as well? That these lads are not quite doing it for me at the moment. Why is this? Has there been a bit of change with inside the club and stuff? We just don't know, but it's not good. Looking very good for Liverpool.
All we can do is just sit back and enjoy it.
We can just smile. That's all we can do. Just smile and enjoy ourselves.
Junior says, Leacher, the butcher of Busby Way, immense effort from us. Definitely not ideal, but these kind of games help build character and resilience. Proud of how we dealt with the situation. Big up the panel. I don't know if he's talking about us
the panel
or just some sort of panel in general. Right, I think that should be us.
Mate, perfect.
What a day.
What a day. What a time to be alive.
We've still got Tottenham versus City to watch tomorrow. So some of them, either one or both of them's dropping points.
That's
Arsenal have dropped points. Manchester United into third place in the Premier League, I believe, which is always great to see. A game ahead of Newcastle. But that goal difference, still not great. But
like you said on the watch along, Joe, one game at a time. Yeah. One game at a time, and just keep concentrating ourselves. We can't control what anything or anyone else is doing. Keep getting the 3 points on the board. Keep the performances high, intensity levels high, because he's got us playing at such a high intensity and the tempo. Look at the energy levels. Like I said, Fred and Bruno at the end, grafting, and Martin, brilliant. The performances individually have been brilliant as well. So just concentrating ourselves, one game at a time. Up the Joe, up the Paddock, up the RH, up the viewers. Let's go.
Brilliant. The only downside, obviously, Casemiro is going to miss 3 games, but during those 3 games, we can sit here and remember that Liverpool are closer to Everton than they are to Manchester United in points. And Everton just sacked their manager because they were about to get relegated. So remember that, everyone at home. When it's sad that we're losing to Leeds because Casemiro's not playing, at least Liverpool are closer to getting relegated than they are to us. Thank you very much for joining us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Ryan Hopper on social media, RH Elite Coaching. Thank you for joining us. Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1. We'll see you in a bit.
Get in.